I believe that this moment when Wanda Maximoff is using her chaos magic on Tony Stark is the moment that turned him into Dr. Doom. Yeah, man, we got another theory about Robert Downey Jr. turning into Dr. Doom. These videos and theories are all the rage right now, and I think it's because people are still just like, how is this possibly going to work? And I'm happy to report this theory is maybe one of the best I've ever made. It makes a ton of sense, and I came to this theory using a combination of my comic book knowledge of Dr. Doom himself and my knowledge of the multiverse as far as Marvel is concerned, because I think there's a lot of clues that Marvel Studios has left us, the fans, to maybe understand how this all works as far as variants and the multiverse. And I also just want to say that this video you're about to watch is going to be very different than a lot of other theories that I have seen out there, mostly because I'm going to focus on magic.
Magic. Mother.
Sure, it's cool to look at the Infinity Saga and try to think of moments where maybe Tony Stark went dark, maybe something happened a little bit different to kind of push him more over the edge. But a big old part of Dr. Doom is his use of magic, right? And so that's one of the things that's most confusing about Tony Stark becoming Dr. Doom. Because remember, guys, the Tony Stark we know, Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark from the Infinity Saga, he doesn't even like magic. Remember in Avengers 1, he's really skeptical of like what Loki's doing and what Thor is able to do. And he's like, yeah, it's technology. I don't know what this magic stuff is, but technology is superior and the real way to universal knowledge. And then in Infinity War, we get a little bit of this with him when he meets Stephen Strange for the first time. Remember, they're kind of like butting heads about it. And Tony's like, no, technology, science, that's the way. And Stephen Strange's like, no, magic is dope. This is what magic can do. I personally think that there's some clues there, right? If you think about what would drive Tony Stark to not only become dark and go sort of villainous, but also what would cause him to embrace magic, I think that's really where the juice is. And the moment that I believe caused Tony Stark to go dark and to go towards sorcery is this moment from Age of Ultron when the Scarlet Witch is first using her chaos magic to induce a vision into Tony Stark. Now, in order to fully explain this to you guys, we have to really take a look at what was happening in this scene in Age of Ultron. Like, what exactly was the freaking deal here? You know what I mean? This is Wanda using her chaos magic and her reality warping powers to show Tony Stark a vision of his future. Now, she also does this to Thor, and remember, Thor has that crazy vision with the Infinity Stones, and Heimdall tells him that he causes Ragnarok, and this shocks Thor so much that he ends up leaving the planet, and he doesn't even come back until Infinity War. And also, that kind of comes true, right? I mean, Thor technically does cause Ragnarok by empowering Surtur to defeat Hela, thereby destroying Asgard. And I guess technically Tony's vision happens as well. It doesn't happen exactly the same way, but due to creating Ultron and then backing the Sokovia Accords, Tony Stark does essentially lead to the Avengers being disassembled, which causes a lot of them to perish during the events of Infinity War and Endgame. And in 616, this vision that Tony sees is so shocking, it causes him to go science bros with Bruce Banner and create Ultron. And frankly, I don't think we give enough credit to that exact moment when he had that vision for turning Tony and pushing a lot of events forward for the Infinity Saga itself. But my theory has to do with this vision happening in a slightly different way because of differences that happen in other universes and with variant characters. Do you remember this image from Multiverse of Madness? And do you remember Christine Palmer remarking on how the injuries of her Stephen Strange and the 616 Stephen Strange are similar but different? Well, one of the biggest differences here, which many fans picked up on after this movie came out, is the date. In 838, Stephen Strange has his injury in 2012, while in our universe of 616, Stephen Strange does not have his injury until 2016. And also, I think it's important to remember that in 838, they actually defeat Thanos with magic. They don't get the stones, they don't do the time heist, they just straight up beat Thanos on Titan with the Book of Vishanti. And this was, of course, due to Stephen Strange looking throughout the multiverse, using the Darkhold to try to find a solution to beat Thanos and to protect them. And remember, that Stephen Strange creates an incursion and destroys an entire universe. And he feels so much guilt over this that he allows the Illuminati to literally kill him just after they have defeated Thanos together. Doctor Strange joining the Avengers early, learning magic, is super impactful. I mean, it completely changes how they approach the fight with Thanos, and it leads to that universe defeating Thanos without needing to complete the gauntlet or time heisting, going back in time, all that stuff. But it would also lead to Tony Stark being introduced to magic much earlier than he was in the 616 universe. In fact, I speculate that instead of Bruce Banner, it would be Stephen Strange whom Tony Stark confides in, trusts, and builds something to try to put a suit of armor around the world. I mean, think about it. There's no Doctor Strange at this point in Age of Ultron. Tony is looking for a peer amongst the Avengers, and it's Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner is brilliant. He's a brilliant scientist, just like Tony. So they create the Science Bros, and they go on to create Ultron. Well, we know in 838 that Ultron was created, but was stable, never took over the planet, and seems completely helpful in the Illuminati scenes. And so I speculate that after the vision that Wanda gives Tony in 838, he would then confide in Stephen Strange, and together they would build this version of Ultron, which maybe was aided by sorcery, maybe aided by use of the Time Stone itself. And I think this is going to be a big part of what would turn Tony to Doctor Doom. But let's go back to the vision that Wanda gives Tony in Age of Ultron. In the 616, Tony is shown a version of the future, which he is basically responsible for the death of the Avengers, and that sends him on a crazy path. But what would Tony see in a universe where Thanos is defeated? There is no snap. Maybe the Avengers aren't destroyed. They certainly aren't destroyed by Ultron. Well, I assume he would be shown the horrors beyond that, the horrors of the multiverse. Because again, remember, Stephen Strange is literally using the Darkhold and has the black fingers and is corrupted, and he's dreamwalking, causing incursions, looking throughout the multiverse for solutions to defeating Thanos. And if this is the variant of Tony that's destined to become Doctor Doom, I would assume the vision he would be shown from the chaos magic would be absolute pandemonium. Maybe he'd even see himself destroying countless worlds. Maybe he'd see the entire multiverse fighting and collapsing. And maybe he would see that in order to have a better outcome, he would have to embrace sorcery, put away the Iron Man moniker, and become what the multiverse needs: Doctor Doom. And I assume at that point, the Tony Stark variant would leave the public eye. Maybe that's why he's not in the Illuminati scenes that we see in 838. And also, it doesn't have to be that this RDJ Doctor Doom is from 838. I'm just using 838 to show big differences that happen to the different characters of different universes. And we've also heard that this RDJ variant of Doctor Doom will be in a post-credit scene of the Fantastic Four. And the Fantastic Four is supposed to be a movie about universes collapsing, perhaps even the universe that Fantastic Four exists in. And so they're going to have to go through a black hole, travel throughout the multiverse as it is collapsing. And I would not be surprised if we saw this RDJ Doctor Doom variant outside of the multiverse, looking over this whole calamity, trying to formulate a plan to save the multiverse and reshape it in his image. I mean, to me, this theory makes the most sense. If we're going with the Tony Stark variant, this is probably how it went down. If you like this crazy theory, smash a like on the video. Share this video out with other nerds that you think would also find it to be pretty chill. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video.